Here's Goodnight Olive making her move to take the lead by a head around the far turn. Race Kane has nearly 10 lengths to make up, so does Scooby Quando, verifying the leader. Top of the stretch, Capit Trice is coming onto the outside. Up to the mark is running late behind Master of the Seas. Set piece down the center of the course. Master of the Seas alongside Annapolis. Here's Elusive Princess coming after Maj, and Mission of Joy tries to find room between that pair. Maj has the lead. Mission of Joy second, Elusive Princess third. The champ in front. Goodnight Olive chased all the way. Capit Trice! Capit Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
And a good evening, everyone. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player. Now we've got one more of the shindigs for the 2024 Spring Meet. Of course, closing day will be Friday, first post 1 o'clock for a 10-race card on Friday that sends us out and springboards us into Kentucky Derby week. The entries for the Kentucky Derby will be taken Saturday night between races 3 and 4 at Churchill Downs. So around the 7 to 8 o'clock hour, we'll get the fields for the Oaks and the Derby drawn special ceremony in between races this year on Saturday night. So a big weekend ahead, no question about that. But we've got a big day to wrap things up with the Bewitch Stakes, the feature race on the card, as we have Warlike Goddess going for a historic 4th win in a row in that stakes race. Should be something else to watch. Speaking of things to watch, a lot of you are watching the NFL draft tonight. So, maybe we'll have a little smaller audience than usual, and then more folks pick it up in the archive. So if you're checking this out on Friday morning, be sure to check out all the updated conditions and scratches and changes and such, as I'll be updating my picks as I do each and every day. And be sure to jump in on the Substack too. I send my information out after scratches every day. And then if you want to get handicapping information from me beyond the Keeneland Meet when it ends, sign up for the free service Substack. It's an independent publisher that just gets sent right to your email. So if you'd like to get my writings and handicapping throughout the course of the year, when the Keeneland Meet is complete, be sure to sign up there, jeremyplonk.substack.com. Free to use, and we send out, a couple emails a week with handicapping around the country that hopefully would be of interest to you. No charge for that. So please join the Substack if you feel so inclined. Hopefully you had a good day today. It's a great day handicapping. We hit the pick 6 today, so that was nice. Not a life-changing pick 6, but it's a meat maker kind of pick 6 today with the consolations. Getting about 3,700 back on it. So a nice score, no question about that. Don't want to belittle it, but when you hit a pick 6, you're hoping to, change things, your outlook, but a very nice score. And I think a lot of you had it as well. As I looked at the potential payouts in the pick 6 today, the two combinations that we were live to that we had talked about and that we had written about, they were by far the two lowest on the tote board, and the proportion between those and the others wasn't the same in the pick 5 to the pick 6, as we were seeing a factor of 6 or 7 times the payout from the pick 5 to the pick 6, 10 times in some of the combinations. It was like 3x between the pick 5 and the pick 6 with the combinations we were playing. So I know a lot of you out there listened. I'm very grateful that you were and that you hit it. I know some of the folks reached out on Twitter that hit the pick 6 today. So congrats. A nice score. We love it. And hopefully bigger and better things to come. So it was a great way to kind of get towards the end of the meet. Of course, we've got 10 more races to go here. And as the handicapping went today, 5 winners on top. 4 of those were in the pick 6. The other 2 in the pick 6 were second choices. Theoretically, a $32 ticket could have got it home if you knew ahead of time that you were going to hit it on the top 2 picks in each race. But, I played a deeper ticket. My ticket, I believe, was 200 total, where we went 5 deep in a couple of those races that we had talked about, 2 in the last race. We did use the same 2 singles we talked about, singling the 4th, the very first race. Again, don't worry about emotion in a pick 6 or in a pick 5 or any wager. Play to your opinion, and if it happens to be the first leg that you want to single a horse, good lesson learned today. There was no reason to go any deeper than the one that turned out working out for us. So 5-win day today, $44.60 in winnings for the $2 win bets on those 5 winners. $44.60 now is the total that we are up for the meet. So we have clinched a positive ROI for the 2024 Spring Meet. 3rd time in the last 4 meets, been able and fortunate enough to pull that off. A lot of hard work goes into it, a lot of luck, and sometimes things break your way. We were absolutely awful here in the fall meet, right, folks? I mean, if you were here and listened to me for 17 nights in a row in the fall, we took a bath and things did not work out well. we didn't change anything. It just you see the ball a little bit better. I guess it's like a golfer or a baseball player. Sometimes you foul them off, and sometimes you hit them over the fence. And we've had a pretty solid meet here. Happy with the way that it's gone. So 2 wins today for jockey Irad Ortiz. That puts him ahead 2 in front of Tyler Gaffalione and trying to dethrone Gaffalione and Saez as the leading jockey here at Keeneland. First time in the last 7 meets, if that happens. Irad Ortiz, 2 wins up going into the Friday card. As for the trainers today, nothing big in terms of the leaderboard. It's still Wesley Ward. He's comfortably ahead. He's going to win the title. He's 3 up going into the last card. No question about that. Good day today for Christophe Clement. 2 wins on the program. We happen to have both of them. And a very nice price on the one. We got a good overlay payoff in the mid-card runner. I thought we'd probably be 2-1 favorite in there and end up paying $11. So good overlay on that one for Clement. Good day for him today. I thought it was very fair playing surface at Keeneland. Horses came from off the pace if the race set up for it. Horses won on the lead if they were good enough and if, the pace scenario warranted it. So good performances today, I think, for all running styles. And I would take that same approach into closing day. If you like a horse and the race sets up for a closer and they're a closer, you've got a fighting chance. If you like a horse up front with speed, you're always in the advantage when you've got front running speed in American dirt racing. They're going to win 2/3 to 70% of the races anyway. But again, if you have a horse from off the pace and you think the race sets up for a closer, don't be afraid to push the button and go for it on the Sunday or on the Friday card as we wrap things up. We've got 10 races to talk about. The big one is the Bewitch Stakes. Not named for Samantha and Darren in the TV series, right? No witches and astronauts. Bewitch was a great race mare, filly, who she was from the same crop that Calumet Farm had with Citation. In fact, she beat Citation back in the 40s in their 2-year-old season. She went on to earn over $400,000. And at the time when she retired was the richest race mare in racing history. At that point, Bewitch for Calumet Farm. That's who the stakes race is named for today. And someday there's going to be a Warlike Goddess Stakes, probably here at Keeneland, because she's already won the race 3 years in a row, and she's going for a historic 4-peat in the same stakes race. I mean, you think back, Rushing Fall with a great career here at Keeneland, Take Charge Lady, great career at Keeneland. Warlike Goddess is going to be right up there in that kind of pantheon, and I would think that there would be a turf stakes with her name on it if she can pull off a 4th win in a row in the Bewitch Stakes coming up today in race number 9. Let's look at the overview and the snapshot of this 10 race card. I actually said the 9th race would be the stakes. It's the 8th. It's not the last race on the card because we want that turf pick 3, a little gap between the turf races so they can work the course and the divots, break things up on the turf and the dirt. So race 8 will be the featured Bewitch Stakes. And again, the turf pick 3 on the closing day card comes up in races 5, 8, and 10. No big carryovers to talk about, but we do want to mention it's mandatory payouts because it's closing day. So if you play the pick 6, yes, there's no carryover, but 5 out of 6 is going to pay the whole pool and down the line. There will be no carryovers. So it is a little bit of an interesting temptation there to get back in. Maybe if you want to play this pick 6 on the closing day card, might get an overlay payout. Not sure how much total money we'll get in the pool. I would think the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 is going to get a huge number in it. It's the last opportunity to play that $3 bet, of course, here at Keeneland for the year. And you've got a favorite in the big stakes race in the Bewitch Stakes and Warlike Goddess, where people are going to try to leverage her and make money somewhere else and try to get in through and around her through race number 8. And the Turf Pick 3 would be a great way to attack it there. Races 5, 8, and 10, again, the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. My key plays are on races 3, 5, and 9. And I can tell you the back half of this card, races 6, 7, 8, and 10, I expect to be very formful. I think we've got strong favorites in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th, and they're for big barns. You're talking Wesley Ward, Brad Cox, Bill Mott with Warlike Goddess, and then Chad Brown in the finale. 6, 7, 8, 10, to me, looks like it's going to be lower prices. Doesn't mean you can't hit exotics. You can't pair them up and get a little value built out. But if you're looking for bombs and reaching, I think you want to try to hit earlier in the card. And one of my key plays in the 9th race is the long shot play for me of the day. So I want to budget accordingly, and I want to go after these early races because I don't think there's going to be a chance for a big score late in the day outside of the one I really like in race number 9. So that's the way I want to kind of focus and look at this card today. If I can attack early, that's where I think the best money can be made. First couple races on the card with the Wesley Ward 2-year-olds, that's probably not the place where it's going to come either. So, you got to get in there in races 3, 4, 5, and 9. That really looks like, as we look at this program, races 3, 4, 5, and 9 are going to be your chances, I think, to hit the scores. The first 2 races, again, are the baby races, one on the turf, one on the dirt. And then you've got 6, 7, 8, and 10 that I think are pretty strong favorite races. So that's why when you see my key plays of the day, I say 3, 4, 5, and 9 are where we think you can make some money today. That's why 3 of those races are in my key plays. Let's go to the opener and get started with the handicapping on this final card, Friday, April 26th. Scott Hazelton, Tom Leach, myself, Cabby Gaudette, Kim Nelson, all the handicappers at the handicappers consensus page, Keeneland.com. Get our picks each and every day there. Print them out. We're starting in the opener, and I'm going with Wesley Ward. It's a 2-year-old race. It's Saturday Flirt, the 7 in here. But after watching the races today, I think you've got a chance to maybe, think about the 4 in here, flip-flops. Trainer Mark Cassie had a good-looking 2-year-old debut today on the turf out of the 12-hole. You don't expect to win from there. He won the turf dash today, did Mark Cassie. He comes back with his War of Will filly flip-flops. The 4, Jose Ortiz is going to ride. There's a lot to like there. And again, I like the power post in the turf here. So post 3, 4, and 5 in the turf sprints. Turf sprints with big fields of 12. Again, 3, 4, 5, highly profitable to follow those 3 post positions. So while I took the Wesley Ward horse here, Saturday Flirt, whom I think will be ready to rock and roll right out of the box. Ward's horse did not fire today on the turf. But flip-flops is one that I could flip-flop here and by, tomorrow kind of like look things over and assess the tote board. If you're getting a much better price on flip-flops than you are Saturday Flirt, I'd have no problem at all just taking the 4 on top. I don't think there's a massive separation in here. And again, in the last 12 hours of what we've seen on the racetrack today, the last 7, 8 hours even, I kind of am leaning back towards flip-flops a little bit in here. So if Saturday Flirt is 3 to 5 and flip-flops is 7 to 2, flip-flops is the bet in here. But let's watch the tote board and see what goes on. I don't like anybody else in this particular spot of, any kind of real repute in here. Pudagook, the outside runner in here for Rusty Arnold. Rusty does a nice job with his 2-year-olds, or his turf sprinters, I should say, not known for the 2-year-olds, but known for his turf sprinters. So if he's got one he thinks could turf sprint, I'm going to respect the barn here. Goth, the 6 is an interesting one, picked on top. Mike Maker, filly here, picked on top by Tom and Gabby, but interested to hear their take on how they both came up with Goth in here for Maker, the first-time starter by More Than Ready. Out of the Street Cry mare, Rose Mine. So a Goth top choice in here off a couple workouts at Turfway on the synthetic for Mike Maker. Tune in tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern with the Today at Keeneland show. And I'm sure Gabby will give her a cause, and maybe Tom Leach. Maybe it's one of his price plays. We'll see what Tom likes for his price play of the day in the final race. But again, I'm kind of leaning towards flopping back to flip-flops maybe here in race number 1. But certainly we're going to respect the Wesley Ward horses. They've been so strong in these 2-year-old races, not only this year, but going back a decade, whether it's on the dirt or the synthetic. To the second race, let's rock and roll from the opening race of the pick 5. I think you could go too deep in the opening race. Now, I don't think that's a potential single race, so I would go too deep in the first race. In the second race, as we start the pick 4, now we're back on the traditional dirt here, a traditional 2-year-old baby race on the dirt. And Ward has shown no signs at all of letting up here. Number 7, Burning Pine with Joel Rosario board should be awfully strong in here. He's got the 4 Spun Lovin' as well. I think Burning Pine probably is the stronger of these 2. Spun Lovin' was entered and could have run earlier in the week, was in the 16 draw, then drew into the race when there were a bunch of AE scratches and could have run, but decided to opt and wait for this race. But I think Burning Pine was the one meant here, and Burning Pine our top choice all the way across. This looks like a Ward single. I don't get creative in here. 7, 4, and 8 for me. Baytown Bullet, the 8 for Paul McEntee, who's got to win in the 2-year-old baby races this year. He's got one of the few that have beaten Ward earlier in the season. So Baytown Bullet may be one to consider, but this is a race where you just try to get through this one in the multi-race wagers. I like a horse in the third race, Pilata Sisters, who's going to be a price. So let's try to get a daily double instead of playing the short exacta with Wesley Ward, 9-horse field pre-scratches. Everybody's going to be on Ward. So I'm going to try a daily double races 2 to 3. So race 2, the 7 Burning Pine, and then I'll match it up with my top pick in the third race. If you're playing multi-race bets, starting the pick 4 here, second leg of the pick 5, Not a lot interesting in here. I think it's 7 Birding Pine at a very short price and the one to beat. To the third race, we go next, and my first of 3 key plays on the card. Again, we've got to be judicious. Again, 1 and 2, you're looking at, likely heavy favorites or maybe a second choice with the Cassie horse in the opener. See how they wager and how they bet on that race. We know that we've got some favorites later in the card that we respect a lot. So third race here is why we got to jump in with one of our key plays. And in this third, it's a turf mile allowance. I've said it over the years a lot, but in turf mile races at Keeneland, especially in allowance company, horses coming back off long layoffs, first start of the year, tend to fare exceptionally well. They're ready to go here. They're legged up and they can handle the return. The 5 Pilata Sisters has not run since February of 23. That's 14 months ago. But by Cairo Prince, a sire who does really well with the offspring here on the turf at Keeneland. Graham Motion's horses have all been knocking right around it today. Had another close photo finish. He's knocking on the door with getting a score here, I think. And Pilata Sisters off the layoff. I think this one comes back fresh and fit and ready to go. I'm on the 5 in here at 12-1 in the morning line. As for the other handicappers across the way, nobody else willing to take that 14-month layoff. So we're on the island, and I like that. It's been good to us over the years and good to us this meet in a lot of cases. So we'll take Pilata Sisters as our top choice in here and one of our key plays on the card. Coming off the layoff, good pedigree to love it here at Keeneland, and certainly nothing wrong with the running lines that we've seen on paper. A horse who's run well on multiple circuits around the country. So give me Pilata Sisters in there. Number 3, New Rome is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Jenna Antonucci, Belmont Stakes winner a year ago. This one looks like New Rome could be lone speed in this race if the 10 doesn't break. 10, Echo Foxtrot, has plenty of speed coming out of 6 furlong races at Turfway. This is a mile race, so you assume the 10 is going to come barreling out of there. First time going around 2 turns for that one. In a short run into the clubhouse turn from the 10 post, I would assume Jimmy Graham's going to go after the 10 of Echo Foxtrot and get that horse into the race early, and then maybe wear down New Rome. If New Rome gets the loose lead in here, could be absolutely gone. Has won 4 of the last 5 races against cheaper company, claimers and starter allowance types, and now steps up in class. But pace advantage could be real. Great post for the 3, New Rome. I think this is a race where if you're playing multi-race wagers, you go too deep in here. I wouldn't get beyond that one. Brendan Walsh has excellent question in here. A horse who is a winner over the course, comes off a break since January and gets Irad Ortiz. The 9 wouldn't be a huge shock in this particular spot. I just think you got a pace player in the 3. Then you got a good angle to attack with the 5 coming off the layoff and pedigree to like the course. I wouldn't get deeper than that, but if you went 3 deep, it wouldn't be the worst move in the world. Mrs. Astor in here is a horse who just gets so far behind. I'm surprised to see 2 top choices in this race, and Mrs. Astor also second choice by Kim, not to knock the other handicappers. It's hard to take a horse who gets this far back. I mean, she's dead last in her last 2 starts and giving up 15 lengths trying to come on. There's not a lot of pace in this race. I said New Rome looks like the ability to maybe go wire to wire in here if Echo Foxtrot doesn't go to the front. Mrs. Astor is going to need a lot of help in terms of the pace to get there. So I'm against number 2, Mrs. Astor, in this particular spot, although I respect, obviously, Kim and Scott and their opinion on that. So tune in and listen to see the case they make. But I'm against the 2 in this particular spot. And 3, New Rome, certainly has the pace advantage in the race, but the good angle and the good wager to me is the 5. So I'm on the 5, 5-3 exacta box. Maybe a 5 over the 9, that kind of play. 3 over the 9 is a backup play. But I want to get the 5 in here first or second. I'm trying to get the double in races 2 to 3. Burning Pine, the Pilata Sisters there in the daily double, 7-5. And then maybe we'll look at a daily double turning race 3 to race 4 as well, going to Barbara T in the next. So speaking of the 4th, let's go there now. Race number 4 is not one of my key plays. It probably would come in next up or somewhere in the vicinity. We'll see. I've got 3 that I'm really going to attack, and we'll kind of nickel dime around the others and just try to connect some dots and multi-race plays in those races. So we're definitely gonna have a vested interest and a rooting interest in these races, just not intra-race bets where I don't feel that they're appealing to bet, win, exacta, and those kind of wagers. So in the 4th race, Barbara T is my top choice. Also the top pick in here for Gabby, Pontracina, the 3, and the 2, Barb Taraj, the others in here. I also have the 7 as 1, Terrapati, a first-time starter by Matoli. This one looks like Thomas, disappointing with the first-time starter in the last race on the card today, who kind of looked like this one, bred well, working really well, bolted out of the gate, and then just backed up. So After seeing the race today, race number 9, the finale, maybe not as wild about the 7 Tirapati. This is the horse I had 4th on my list. So I had this race as one where you might go 4 deep, 5, 3, 2, and 7. But maybe I'm not going to go to the 7 at this point. Just go with the 5, the 3, and the 2 in this particular spot. Stick with the experienced horses. Barbara T comes from a Del Mar layoff since last July. This is a horse horse with a jockey trainer combo. Pratt McCarthy from California. They scored a ridiculous 38% together. Certainly got to like that. Barbara T, top choice in here for me. Certainly respect for the 3 Pontresina and the 2 Barb Taraj. You got Wesley Ward and Rick Dutrow, those 2 high percentage trainers. This is a situation, though, where Barbara T is a 3-year-old taking on older horses. If you want to get in on the older horse angle, it's the 3 Pontresina who might be the horse to beat. And that was a key today in one of the maiden races. There were a bunch of scratches, and I think we got down to 4 or 5 in there. But it was the 4-year-old beating the 3-year-olds and beating them pretty handily. It's still early in the year, April 26th, for 3-year-olds to be able to beat older horses. You've got to have an older horse you like in this particular spot. And I think the 3 Pontresina, you could make that case. So I would say I like the 5 Barbara T coming from California. But as a 3-year-old taking on elders, you definitely want to use the 3 in here, Pontresina as well. This is kind of an either-or situation. Maybe you check the tote board. Again, if these 2 are like matched up and one is a couple points lower than the other, take the higher priced one of the 2, because I think the 5 and the 3 in this race are very even in my estimation. So why give up price and value if you think the horses have an even fair chance of winning the race compared to each other? The 2 Barb Taraj, interesting to see what happens with this well-bred Into Mischief filly. She had 1 start here at Keeneland. She got beat as a Wesley Ward first-time starter in a 2-year-old baby race. So you say, well, maybe she's not that good. Ward wins with all the 2-year-old babies. She got beat by Brightwork, who was really good early in the year last year. Of course, Brightwork went to Saratoga, won a stakes race. Didn't turn out to be a distance filly, but early in the year, she was the best 2-year-old filly sprinter in America that first, quarter, half into the beginning of the fall. Brightwork losing to her turned out not to be that big of an insult. So Barb Taraj can probably still run just fine. Wesley Ward trains that daughter of Into Mischief. We'll see how she fares first start since last April. So she's coming back off the year break. In this particular spot, I think you use at least the top 2 that I've got, the 5 or the 5 and 3, Barbara T and the 4-year-old Pontresina. And then Barb Taraj, if you want to include that one in there, maybe you get an eye on this one pre-race and see how she looks. I could certainly see somebody wanting to jump in and use her. But I don't think we're looking at a big price on any of those 3. And I think there's 3 that have, fairly decent chance. So this is why it's not a key play for me on the card, because this looks like $18 to $20, $2 exact, no matter which way it comes, and for me, I'm looking for something a little bit bigger than that. So that's why it's not on the key playlist for me in race number 4. But confidence is fairly good. It's going to be the 5, the 3, or the 2. And our handicappers kind of have, that kind of opinion as well. To the 5th race we go. Now we do have a horse we like. This is the horse I like the most on the card up to this point. Of course, we got the nice price in race number 3. But this is a colt, a gelding, I should say, who just really impressed me down at Gulfstream. So it's going to be a key play for me in race number 5. It's the start of the turf pick 3. Again, it'll start the pick 6. No carryover in the pick 6 today because we all hit it, right? So we got to start with no jackpot on the pick 6 coming up for Friday. But I love Iris's Dream in this spot. Out of the 2-hole, this horse, the one time on the turf by Jess's Dream, the Curlin offspring, Iris's Dream was so impressive, the one race on the turf. I mean, just mind-blowing. If you'd like to go back and watch race replays, Iris's Dream ran one of the best maiden races in the entire meet at Gulfstream Park in winning in just a laugher from a terrible post position. Now drawn really well. They tried the Florida Derby out of that race because they were so impressed by how well the horse ran on the turf. Holy cow, maybe we have a superstar 3-year-old. It didn't work out in the Florida Derby when Fierceness won by 13. This horse got beat by 22. But now we're back to the surface where the shine and where the stardom first appeared. So Iris's Dream back on the turf. 6-1 in the morning line. I absolutely love her. Love him. I keep wanting to call it a her with the name Iris, but it's Iris's Dream, the gelding. And I love this horse on the card. So in race number 5, give me one of my key plays in here. Let's see how we match up with the other handicappers across the board here. Nobody else with Iris's Dream on top. Scott does have that runner picked second, but almost a complete island situation here. Thomas Aquinas, the 8, my second choice. Ian Wilkes has been good to us this week. We told you all week Ian Wilkes is going to pop something. He had a nice winner today. He had a good second, third earlier in the week at 36-1 leading for us. Ian Wilkes' horses have come to run closing week. They've all fired pretty well. Thomas Aquinas, the 8, would be no surprise to continue that kind of situation. But I love the 2 in here. I want to use them with the 8, of course. The 5 Quokka in here is a well-bred son of Noble Mission for the turf course here at Keeneland. First time over the turf at Keeneland for this one, but comes out of 3 stakes races for a high percentage barn in here in Jordan Blair. Quokka could be just fine at this level on the class drop. Noble Missions run extremely well over the turf here at Keeneland. So I've got 2 that I like under the horse I love. I mean, so this is the perfect situation for me. We've got 11 horse field. So we've got the math working for us, right? I mean, we always talk about field size. The losing tickets pay the winning tickets. So I'm not getting involved in trifectas when there's 8 horses in the field, when there's 7 horses in the field. We've got 11 in here. Let's hope race 5 stays together without any scratches, and we get as many in here as we can because it's going to help the potential payoffs. Great tri-super race. The best tri-super races, you say, which ones do you like? Big field and strong opinion. I have a horse I love, probably not going to be the favorite, and I've got a big field to work with underneath. That is the absolute time you want to get involved in trifectas and superfectas, especially if the horse you like and the one that you want to key and put all your weight behind on top isn't the favorite. And I don't think we're going to see Irish's Dream as the favorite in this spot. So love it, love it, love it. So let's go 2 on top. We like the 5 and the 8. So 2 with 5-8 with all, 2 with all with 5-8, 2 with 8 with all with 5. I mean, work them as many combinations as you can in the supers. Supers get a little more complicated and expensive using the all button in more than one spot. But certainly for the trifectas, 2 with 2-8 all, 2-5 all. 2 all 8, 2 all 5. We're going to get the 2 win this race. The 5 or the 8 runs second or third, and we don't care who else pops in. We're looking for a price. If we can get another price in there, then great. Oftentimes, what I find is that is a better strategy than trying to play exactas. When you have a big enough field size to do so, your $1 trifecta is going to pay more than your exacta wheel would have been if you used the same number of dollars to get it. Usually, with a big field size like this, that will be the case. There'll be the occasional time when a short price runs in there in the middle and you say, I could have made more money by playing the exacta than playing the trifecta, but it's the rarity. Again, you're playing the percentages, the numbers, and you're letting the math work for you. In this particular case, 2, 8, 5, 2 with the 8, 5 with all, 2 with all with the 8, 5 going to be the way that I really try to approach this 5th race on the card. Excited to bet this one. And again, as I mentioned earlier, races 6, 7, 8, and 10. I don't think there's a lot of money to be made in these races. So now I've got one in the 5th. Just for example, if you're a $100 player, that's your budget for the day. I would put $50 or $60 on the 5th race. Half my budget to 60% of my budget would be on this particular 5th race on the card. It's the one I really love. I look at the other ones and say, there's not much cooking there that I like. Go after a race that you really like. Now, you may not share the opinion. You may like a different horse in this race. So, don't follow what I'm telling you blindly. Follow the strategy. When you have that horse you love on a card where you don't like a lot of the others, don't play $10 a race for 10 races. That's the worst thing you can do to spend $100. You got one you really like, 50, 60% of your budget on that particular horse when a card lines up like it does today. Now, if you have 2 or 3 key plays on a card, you obviously don't want to put 60% all on one horse. In that situation, then you're going to spread it out a little bit more. But on a play like this today, I could see, 20% of my budget in race 3, 50% of my budget in this other key race. Let's get the key races up here. So 20% of my budget. Let's say we got $100 today. $20 to play in the 3rd, $50 to play in the 5th. That gets us up to $70. $20 to play in the 9th. And then I'm nickel diming around with $10 in the other races. $2 exacta here and there. Maybe I play a little daily double with $1 play with the 2 horses in the 2nd race to the horse I like in the 3rd. Figure out how to spread that other $10 around and have a little fun money with it. But you need to focus your plays on the ones you really think can make you the money. And that's kind of the way I would budget a card like this coming up on Friday. Okay, so let's go from the 5th, one of our key plays, to race number 6. This is where the pick 5 starts. Late pick 5 here on races 6 through 10 to wrap up the card. I'm on the one giant leap. This is a race where there are different options in here, but speed in the rail, Wesley Ward, John Velasquez, great record at Keeneland, 3 starts, a win, 2 seconds. The 2 seconds were good efforts here. I see no reason to try to, reinvent the wheel. Inside speed, Ward, Velasquez. Now, there's some other good options in this particular race, like the 2 Mulligan by Violence. Should love the course here at Keeneland and ran a good race over the track here against Equivoque back in April of last year in a pretty good race over the track. The 4 Miracle Workers, a well-bred first time over the track here at Keeneland. Brad Cox brings this one in from Oaklawn. You could make a case for that one, but I just think there's no variable that tells you that the 1 shouldn't run a big race in this particular spot. Has run well fresh in the past and likes the racetrack speed rail. You get rid of all the variables in here. So I think the one giant leap is a horse who's probably in a field of 8 going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 7 to 5. The big buyer speed figure last time is going to get bet, that 94. Got an 88 over the track here. I mean, that 88 stacks up with just about anybody. The 8 to 5, something like that. There are some other options. Again, the 2 and the 4 are going to get bet, but the 1, 2, 4 are horses that are all going to take money. Not a big exacta kind of race either, right? So we want to get a daily double. If you like one giant leap, where is the value? We thought the favorites were going to be tough in the 6th, 7th, 8th. So you got to go backwards, right? Okay, I assume that there's going to be favoritism on the one giant leap here in the 6th. I'm going to try to get to them with daily doubles. Iris's Dream that we really liked. Maybe even play a couple small doubles then as backups with the 8 and the 5 in the previous race to the 1. Then you'd be live if Iris's Dream happens to get beaten there, which I don't look at that happening. You at least got some action on your smaller play to be alive going into the 6th race. But I wouldn't make that a key. I would make the key play in here, Iris's Dream to win, daily double to the next race, 2 with the 1. And then also, of course, the tries and supers we talked about attacking that race in race number 5. So 6th race here, I look at a potential, would you single one giant leap? Well, do you like that one as much as you like some of the other favorites to come? It might be a situation where you use 2 or 3 if you're playing a multi-race wager in here. Let's see what we think of the other races. I mean, I think the one's not a complete standout in here, but I see no reason to pick against the horse. That's the thing. The other horses that you might want to run against them, the 2 and the 4, the running style of the 2 similar. So if you like inside speed, why wouldn't you just take the 1 in this particular spot, who's already proven so well over the racetrack? And the other thing is the 4. The 4 might lay off the pace a little bit and try to pounce. So if you think a race shape setup might get you to the 4, but that one doesn't have a race over the track. So you want to take Concepcion with Cox, or do you want to take Velasquez and Ward and a horse that you already know is proven? So again, it just all comes back to the 1. And there's just not a price there to go, okay, I'm like all in, because I don't think we're going to get, the kind of price that gets me too interested in playing that one intra-race. Now let's go to the 7th race next up on the card. We see the 7th race is going to start the late pick 4. This is a maiden special weight 6 furlong race. First time starter in here for trainer Brad Cox, Alcove. I just think this horse is going to be super strong in here. Cox has run maiden specials here at Keeneland with first time starters. With 20 of them, first-time starting maiden specials on the dirt here as the favorites. He's had 20 horses debut as the favorite. He's got 10 wins, 5 seconds at Keeneland going back to 2019. So just since 2019, he's debuted 20 horses that were bet to favoritism. Alcove is the morning line favorite, going to be the favorite in this race. Bullet workout in the morning. Nice pedigree for this one. Alcove's going to be the favorite. Cox is 10 wins, 5 seconds, 2/3 with his 20 debut first-time starting favorites. I'm not going to pick against him. I don't think he's going to get beaten here. And if I had a horse in this race I like, here's the same situation we had in the 6th race. The other horse in this race that kind of intrigues me a little bit is the 2 World Record. It's another first-time starter. It's Brisset and Pratt. Well, if I'm going to take a first-time starter that I'm not completely certain about in this particular spot, why would I take that one when the numbers for Cox are just staring you in the eyes there at how well he's run with his 2-year-old with his debut first time starting favorites. So I don't see a big price in this one. It's 9-2 for me, the 2 first time starters of the most interest. The 6 Stinger B amongst the horses who have run. Stinger B can't get out of the gate. If he finally does break well, maybe this is the spot where he can take him as far as he can. He showed good speed last time when getting away, but prior to that, bore in at the start, step slow at the start, check between at the start. You got a lot of problems at the start. Now, Irad Ortiz was able to get a good effort out of this one last time down at Fairgrounds. Amongst the horses who have run, obviously the 6 Stinger B to me is the one to consider. The one Troubles Roaring has had a million chances already. 5 starts, 4 narrow defeats, five narrow defeats actually. 4 narrow defeats and 3 runner-ups, I should say, for Steve Asmussen. Troubles Roaring down to the inside. Doesn't have a lot of, early lick. Gets out of the gate fine, but then, this horse has been outside in all the races. 10 hole, 9, 8, 11. How's this horse going to react to the inside? Usually it's 2-3 lengths off the pace from the outside draws. I don't know. To me, it's not a great post position for the one. So while you respect the form and the past performance lines, there's nothing negative about them. This is a tough post to try to pull off that running style that he's employed to this point at Turfway. We'll see how it translates to the dirt, because the one dirt race at Churchill was not good. So maybe Troubles Roaring is just better on the synthetic and the competition over at Turfway. So I just don't get beyond the 9-2. And if you're going to take one of them that has some running experience in this race, then I would go with the 6 in here, Stinger B. All right, let's go to race number 8. It's the Bewitch Stakes, our feature on the card. The big favorite in here will be Warlike Goddess. She won this race 3 years in a row. Two of those years, she was coming off an identical layoff to what she's doing now from Breeders' Cup weekend within a couple of days of each other, 130 some days. I looked it up earlier for a graphic. So Warlike Goddess has come off this kind of layoff since the Breeders' Cup in the past. The question with her is, can you keep doing it at an advanced age? A lot of trainers and handicappers will tell you that the older a horse gets, the harder it is to come back off a long layoff. It's just like me, I'm 52 now. When I was 32, I got out of bed a lot easier a day after doing something physical. Now it takes a little longer to kind of, get the old bones going again. So maybe if you're going to pick against Warlike Goddess, you're going to say she's 7, and I'm going to make her prove it to me that she's as good off the layoff as she has been in the past. But her past form is just, exceptional, especially here at Keeneland. And if you're going to pick against her, you need a reason to pick against her, or you need an option to turn to pick against her. And as I look down in this race, this is a 1.5 mile on the turf in the Bewitch Stakes. I don't see a lot of 1.5 mile horses in this race. This is one where the 12 furlong distance, the entire field has made 7 starts at a 1.5 mile on the turf. They have no wins. They're 0 for 7. She's 7 for 10. I mean, she's a specialist at a trip where none of these horses have won, with 7 opportunities. So, Chop Chop's a nice filly, but is she a 1.5 mile on the turf? That's asking a lot. Lovely Princess, same way. Is she a mile on the turf? Or 1.5 miles on the turf? When she's run that far, she's kind of flattened out late. Vergara, the same thing. I love the Noble Missions on the turf here at Keeneland. I love Grand Motion's horses here at Keeneland. But this horse backed up in the Dowager trying to go the 1.5 miles. And it looks like one of those horses that, like I say, draw the line in the past performances from the next to last call to the finish call. And you see a horse in Vergara who just kind of flattens out a lot. If you flatten out against Warlike Goddess and she's anywhere near what she's used to, she's going to motor on by you. And so I just don't see the reason to jump in and beat her here. Now, if you are one of those people that are just going to be inclined to go for the upset, we know how good she is finishing races, right? Warlike Goddess is going to come from a decent ways off the pace. She's not going to be a mile out of it, but she's not going to be on the lead throughout. If you're going to upset her, it's going to be because she doesn't fire as strong with her finishing kick. So you got to beat her from the front to start with. And that to me is the upset method in here. If you're going to try to beat her, try to find a really good speed horse. Vergara would be the most likely horse in this race because there's not a lot of early pace in there. Flavia and Pratt to go as long as they can, as far as they can on the front end. If you're going to try to upset Warlike Goddess, Vergara would be the option in here. I also think that same style could be good enough to hold second for Vergara in here, because if she goes out, it's rather uncontested and she just can't get 1.5 miles. There's no shame in holding off all the others who also don't want 1.5 miles. So this looks like a 6-8 Colt Exacta to me. Gabby sees it the same way. Scott and Tom both have the 6 on top with Vergara in their third. Same with Kim. We all see Warlike Goddess on top. We all think Vergara holds for second or third. This is the way this race looks and the way it kind of sets up. I don't think it's a great gamble. Again, we're going to try to get in and out of this race in the multi-race wagers. pick 4 single, pick 5 single. Yes, to me on all of that. If you're playing the pick 6, she's a single in there. If you're betting within the race, I don't think the exacta with Vergara is going to pay that much. But if you think Warlike Goddess can't lose this race, look at her like she's a free space, then what kind of price do you look at on Vergara versus the rest of the field, right? If there was no Warlike Goddess in this race, what odds would you make Vergara? And that's what you're looking for in the exacta. So if you think Vergara is 4-1 to beat the rest of the field, that's a $10 payout. You're looking for an exacta that pays $10 for 2. And you'd say, you know what? Anything above $10 is pretty fair. So if you're looking at the exactas, let's see what they're going to pay. Look at the potential will pays. And you've got, Warlike Goddess on top and Vergara second. And you think Vergara is about 4-1 to beat the rest of these horses. Maybe you think she's better than that. Maybe you think Vergara's 2-1 to beat the rest of the field if there was no Warlike Goddess in this race. Then you only need to get $6 on the exacta underneath her to make it feel like you're getting some value. So you can play short-priced exactas, but they've got to be in a situation where you feel like there's a standout from the second to third as well, in your opinion. I would rather go to the daily double in this particular case because I have a price horse I like in the next race. If I didn't have the price horse and I needed some action in here, then maybe I would look at the potential exacta, just taking the short price there to Vergara. But our other key play of the day comes up in race number 9. So we're going to try to get to this 9th race with a price play, and we will play daily doubles to be sure in here. Race 8, the 6, Warlike Goddess, to our top choice in race number 9. Race number 9 is the 3rd level allowance race, 7 furlong spot in here, and we're 20-1 in the morning line with the 10-horse Broganza. We're taking Broganza on top in this spot, and we are on the island. Nobody else has this horse picked anywhere in the top 3, so we're going to get what I think is a fair price. Eddie Keneally's horses have run well here at the end of the meet. We said Eddie Keneally's horses are going to fire. He had our best bet today early in the card, just ran the eyeballs out in that 2-year-old turf sprint and got nailed by the Mark Cassie horse in the last jump. What an effort. He had that one ready to go. Just got nipped at the wire. I think Braganza, first time back since November. I think Keneally's been sitting on this one for the end of the meet. One of my favorite handicapping angles. I call it the LTB, layoff, turning back in distance, and firing bullets in the morning. Layoff L, turning back T, bullets in the morning B. That tells me this horse is fresh off the layoff, shortening the trip so you don't have to be as fit as maybe some of the best for this runner. Bullets in the morning tell me that the horse is raring to go and sharp. Keneally's got the LTB rocking with the 10 in here. Braganza, he gets Saez back to ride. And look, this horse has a bad race on the turf here at Keeneland, but if you go back to the dirt form, it's pretty outstanding. And the one race at Keeneland in April of 23, that's the benchmark race that I'm looking at. A 7-length winner in just a hand ride, drawing off. So Braganza likes the course, layoff, turn back, bullets. If I can get anywhere in the ballpark of 20-1, I'm excited to play. Maybe looking at the other handicappers across the board, we will get a bigger price, but my estimation is 5-6-1 on this horse. Still makes it a very, very attractive play later in the card. I like Iris's Dream in the way that 11-horse field in race number 5 sets up better with my opinions underneath, because I think beyond Braganza in this race, I think a lot of them kind of look alike, and I wouldn't be as, confident going into an exacta situation or a try situation as I am up there in race number 5. In the 5th race, I love the 2, and I think the 8 or 5 are definitely part of the underneaths. I don't know who's part of the underneath in this race. And if you look at the other handicappers in this race, we've got 5 handicappers with 5 different horses picked on top. So that's probably a good assessment that it's anybody's race beyond something that you particularly like in here. I love Braganza. I'm not going to get cute. This is a straight win bet. This is a daily double situation because I want to get 6-10 in races 8 and 9. Give me that extra value. Whatever Warlike Goddess pays in the daily double is free money towards the win bet, the way I look at it. If Braganza is going to be 10-1 and pay $22, but the daily double Warlike Goddess to Braganza pays $28, to me, that's $6 free bucks, the way I look at it, if I don't think Warlike Goddess can lose. And that's kind of the way I match it up on the 8th race to the 9th race. So definitely want to get a daily double 6-10 in here. And then to the last race, I'm taking Braganza on top, and I'm going to the top 2 in the last race on the card, Catch a Wave and Domingo. Let's look here at the snapshot to let you know the Super High 5 and the Turf Pick 3 wrap up here in race number 10. So if you're playing the Turf Pick 3, we love a horse in the 5th. We think that there's a standout, obviously, in the stakes race. So we're 1 by 1 in the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. We've only spent $3 in our combinations to get to the 10th and final race. I think there are 2 options in here. I think both are going to be covered pretty well. But again, our value is in the 5th race, right? We've got that horse who's 6-1 in race number 5. So just because you're like 1 by 1 by 1 or 1 by 1 by 2, and you think, oh, this is going to be such a skinny pick 3, it's not going to be worth paying. Remember, we've got Iris's Dream there in the 5th race. At a decent morning line, 6-1. If we can get that first leg, then take the 2 shorter prices after that. There's nothing wrong with that. So in the Keeneland Turf pick 3, I'm on Iris's Dream in race number 5, the 2, Warlike Goddess in race number 8, the 6. And then I'm going to use these 2 horses that I think are very logical in the finale. The top 2 choices: 8 Catch a Wave for Chad Brown, the 2 Domingo for Brendan Walsh, coming off a win each last time out. Tampa Bay Downs for 1, Gulfstream from the other. Good places to be coming out of for the turf races here at Keeneland. My own 3/16 on the grass. There's plenty of dam side stamina for both of these. Strong pedigrees, Curlin and American Pharoah. On the dam side, you got Scat Daddy and Thunder Gulch. And the dam side of the pedigree for Catch a Wave's really interesting. It's the Keeneland Stakes winner, Harmonize. We saw her win the Jessamine Stakes, and then I think she even won another stakes then later in her career. She either won the First Lady or one of those kind of races for the older horses, but she definitely won the Jessamine for the 2-year-old fillies. So Catch a Wave, bred to love the turf course here at Keeneland. I think she's going to be tough in here. The 8, and then the 2, Domingo, again, has a little bit more experience, but Brendan Walsh has had a really good meet. He gets Sias. He gets a great post position in here. I just can't get past the 8 and the 2 in this spot. The 3, Bandwagon's just the 3rd best horse in the race to me. I don't have any strong opinion of Bandwagon in this particular spot. Just think maybe best of the rest in here for Phil D'Amato coming from California. But you respect D'Amato, anything he puts out on the grass. And, of course, Irad Ortiz riding. This one draws well. We'll see how Bandwagon fares first time here on the East Coast of the U.S. Did begin the career at Woodbine, so a little more experience on a lush turf course at Woodbine than just the traditional Santa Anita Del Mar shipper. So maybe Bandwagon will handle it okay, but the worst race on the form was the one over the turf course at Woodbine. So I don't know. I just think this is 8-2. I don't think it's very creative. Whatever price you can get, try to get to this last race. Maybe you can get there in the daily double, 10-8, 10-2. Maybe you're getting there in the pick 4, the pick 5 on a very narrow ticket. I mean, you could be looking at the late pick 5 in here with One Giant Leap, the 1, Alcove, the 9, Warlike Goddess, the 6, Braganza, the 10, and then 2 at the end. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing a 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 by 2 pick 4. Like, okay, are you likely to hit 4 consecutive winners on any card? Well, no, it's not easy to do. Of course not. I mean, the odds are against that. But you're only investing $2 to find out on a $1 ticket. I mean, $1 on a 50-cent ticket. And if you like that combination, play it for $10, and then you'll hit it. You'll get 20 of the 50-cent payoff. So if you can get a decent price in there somewhere along the way, if Braganza comes in, all of a sudden you've turned Braganza, who's a decent priced horse, into a lot of money because all you did was match up a bunch of other horses that were kind of obvious in the pick 4 and in the pick 5. So that's kind of the way to attack the back half of this card, I think. Find one you really like. In my case, I've got it there in race number 9. Maybe you like somebody in a different race, Maybe you're against Warlike Goddess and you love Vergara today. Then build around Vergara. It's the same strategy, but which horse and which option you take is the beauty of why we do this, right? It's why we print out all these pages of paper and we study through them and we dig everything out because we're trying to find something. That's the beauty and the love of handicapping, which I still have after all these years. Been doing it since I was, could barely read a book. So this is the game I love. Hopefully you've gotten something out of these podcasts throughout the course of this spring meet at Keeneland. 30-some meets now in a row working for the track at Keeneland. Just really want to thank the staff there for having me back again. Dara Mullins, Krista Marilla, and the team, the marketing team. I've been through 4 or 5 different regimes at Keeneland since my association began about 16 years ago. And each one that has come along has found value in helping the horse player. And that's one of the reasons why I love working with Keeneland and for Keeneland doing projects like this, because they value the horse player. They want you to do well and grow the game and make it better. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast this season. For those of you watching on an archive and it's race day, good luck here on Thursday. Be sure to get your scratches and changes and tune in to Scott and Gabby at 11:30 a.m. for the Keeneland Today show. Also find out who Tom Leach has for his long shot play of the day on closing day. Have a great Friday, everyone. Good luck in the Kentucky Derby. Sign up for that Substack. I'm going to put it back up there so that you can follow Kentucky Derby coverage. My Countdown to the Crown series gets sent out, or you can go to countdowntothecrown.com, my free website, and check out how I'm analyzing all the races coming up to the Kentucky Derby. Friday's a really fun edition that you'll see at countdowntothecrown.com. I do the historical comparables. I do this every year. I think 2012 might have been the first year that I did it. I've been doing the series since 2006, but the historical comparables look at every horse in this year's Kentucky Derby field and how they compare with other horses who had similar resumes, styles, and things like that in the past. We try to see if, looking back at horses who look just like this coming into the Triple Crown series, how they fared might help predict how the horse that you're looking at this year might fare. If nothing else, it is a fun trip down memory lane. I had a blast writing it this week in between races at Keeneland and all the other stuff that's going on. So check that out tomorrow. Countdown of the Crown will drop tomorrow. And again, the historical comparables. And then next week, we usually release Countdown of the Crown on Fridays. Next week on Derby week, it'll come out on Thursday. A day early. Don't want to put stuff out on Oaks Day. Everybody's at the track or, digging into the card. And it's not a good time to be sending stuff out new and fresh. So we're going to get it out Thursday ahead of all that Oaks Day rush. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. God willing, we'll be back in the fall meet to do it all again with Keeneland. Have a great night.